Hello, I am Anna Imagination, and this is the second video of the series, technically the first private video, so that we can get started and get right on into this. I am taking very much the role of the instructor as I introduce Triadic Healing to you. So this is really it. This is Triadic Healing. Triadic Healing begins with a point of view, a perspective. Right now, you are coming to me with your very defined perspective. And your perspective literally is your life story. It is everything that has ever happened to you, wrapped up in your beautiful point of view. It is all your abuse, all your trauma, all your loves, all your boyfriend, girlfriends, husband, wives, all your children, all your dreams. Your perspective is literally an accumulation of your life story, literally presenting itself right now in the present moment. That is very fucking powerful. That is perspective. But what happens when? But what if an abuser comes along and tampers with your point of view so that they made sure that you view the world the way they wanted you to view the world? But the point of view, the perspective, is not reality like they told us it was. It's not truth like they told us it was. It isn't even your opinion. No. No. Your perspective is your story. It is your personal story. That is what your perspective is. And when you start to realize that your perspective, your point of view is actually your story, then who the fuck has any right to come in and tell you what it should or shouldn't be? I'm a published author. I have written 4 novels and several short stories, and my articles have been published in many websites, many magazines. And there is a relationship that occurs between the conscious awareness and the identity when you embrace creativity and art. Let me tell you what's really happening when you sit down to journal, when you sit down to write, when you sit down to blog, when you take the stage and you act, when you decide to tell an anecdote at the company picnic. What you are really doing is portraying your point of view. You are literally exposing your total and complete self and showing them, I'm going to show you a little part of my journey that got me to here. Story is very vulnerable. It is the thing that we tell ourselves every day, every morning, every night. It's that thing in our brain that we constantly replay over and over in our brains. Rumination. To constantly validate and reaffirm that our story is our story. Now, authors don't have a problem with this. Writers, actually they do. It's called writer's block, but we're going to shelve that for a minute. Authors do not have a problem with this. The minute an author says, I want to be a writer, you are a writer. And when you start sitting down and you start writing poetry or books or music, you are telling your story. And an author never stops to ask one question. This is interesting. There is one question that I never asked. And that question was, should I write about this, this, and this? Or should I consult somebody else to write it for me? There is no question There is no question. Now, some people have an idea. They have a summary of a story, so they hire other people to put the words on paper, ghostwriting. But the story is still theirs. I am talking about when you have that moment where you know the story and you go, do I want to tell this in script form? Do I want to write this down in a book? Do I want to perform this on a stage? Do I want to become a teacher and show it to other people? It is the deliverance of story. It is perspective. And an author will never, ever wonder if they should tell someone else's story. No, they don't. They don't give a shit about other people's stories. Sometimes they go, God damn it, I wish I had that idea, Harry Potter. But it doesn't belong to us. It's not our point of view. The goal of an author is to tell our story. There is a confidence when you are the writer, a confidence like no other, a certainty, so that when I picked up my pen, all of my subconscious mind went away. When I embraced being an author, it was like I could step out of being mentally ill because I knew my story and I was telling it. I had fear creep in like, oh my God, what if? And then I went, Anna, come on, they don't read. They're not going to read your book. Oh yeah. And the fear went away. And to this day, they haven't read my book. So suddenly it became a freedom that I could tap into my point of view and my story, and I could share my perspective and my story with the world through my books. And I didn't give a fuck what anyone thought. I write my books for me. I vocalize and communicate my perspective for me. So authors have a very different way of looking at perspective. There were days where I felt like a god. I did. I felt like a goddess playing around with my little characters, telling them which holes to jump into and which trees to climb. Yeah, I definitely went on a power trip with my people. But that is creation. That is imagination. And when you are an author or a director, when you are a creator, it becomes about you and your story. So when you decide to walk into Triadic Healing, I'm the gatekeeper. The very first thing I'm going to stop and tell you is I'm going to show you perspectives that you have never seen before. And I'm going to show you perspectives that are going to flip you on your fucking ass, because that is what I do. I change perspectives. Because when I realized that a perspective is just a story, you could read so many different stories. You could read the same story and see a different way of looking at that story over and over again. And you gain understanding. Perspective shift gives you understanding. And right now, you have one perspective shift. You just have one. And it's not even yours. It belongs to your abuser. So you're sitting here watching this, telling me I want to learn Triadic Healing. And I'm going, okay, first thing we're going to have to do is take care of that perspective. Because you came to me with one perspective. You're sitting there with just one perspective. And here's the newsflash. It isn't even yours. Your abusers put that perspective into you. That's not your life story. That is not who you are. Because I've been doing this for a living. I have been doing this my entire life. I eat, breathe, and drink this. Believe me, I eat, drink, sleep, breathe this. And I've been doing it for so long now that when I sit down and I talk to somebody, I know when I'm not talking to them. I know when I'm talking to their subconscious mind. I know when I'm not talking to you. So, triadic healing isn't just healing, it's life transformation. But it isn't just life transformation. I literally take down the matrix. I really do. Because where you are sitting with your perspective was designed to keep you in a system. And it's not until you step out that you go, oh. And the system is smart. The system is so smart that it embedded incredibility into you. The system is so smart, so mischievous, that it embedded doubt into you. It then riddled our past with us laughing at conspiracy theorists and witches and astrology. All of that's been put in there too. So I'll talk to some people about this and I'll get incredibility. I'll talk to other people about this and I will get other information about this. I'll get more of their insights and more of their input. It's extraordinary how many different people come to this and they just, I can see all their subconscious roadblocks. Every one of them is there. So when you decide to do triadic healing, what you are really doing is embracing a different perspective. You are open-minded to receive a different perspective. Now, I don't want to give you my perspective and say, here's my perspective. What I want to do is teach you how to form your own perspective. What I want to do is teach you how to figure out what your own story should be. So what I'm really doing in triadic healing is giving you tools to show you this is the perspective you're stuck in. This is the toxicity of it. This is what was done to you and what it resulted in. But I don't want to sit down and pull apart every little thing that happened to you. I'm not that kind of therapist. Personally, I think that kind of therapy is garbage. But that therapy right there, where you just tune in and you listen to all of that trauma that you went through, that's not the point. That's a distraction. My goal is to show you the big picture, show you what's been done to you for a long time, what the abuse did to your mind, all the players in it, your 3 life titans, what those titans did, how those titans think, how they move, how they function. And then I'm going to show you your perspective, your identity, who you are. And you are going to start to see, the more work you do, the more you're going to realize how much you are here, how much you have always been here, and how much everybody else interfered with your story. And that's really it in a nutshell. You have a story, you have your beautiful perspective, and it has been grossly tampered with. There is a restoration process, but it starts with you changing your perspective. I can't just go in and throw you into this. I can't just hand this information to you, because when you have a perspective, it's like you're looking down a telescope and you have it here. Now, right now you're looking there, and I need you to be looking here to learn. But you're not looking here, you're looking here. Now, if I turn you, it's going to be so drastic, it's going to cause you pain. It's going to hurt you. I don't want that. So I have to very slowly shift your degrees ever so carefully. 2 degrees, 3 degrees, and then rest, acclimate, normalize. That's what I call normalizing. It's a process. And then we're going to shift again, 2 more degrees, and then we're going to stop you. And you're going to normalize. You're going to do self-care. And you're going to stabilize. And once this is familiar, I'm going to shift you again, 2 more degrees. It's going to be long and it's going to be tedious. And it really depends upon you, how much work you've done, how much trauma you've had, how much conscious awareness you have. And you just keep shifting every 2 degrees. And every time you shift, it's a process. It's a 3-day process. Well, it's a 3-part process where it's, okay, you're going to do the shadow work. You're going to shift. You're going to stop. You're going to normalize, and you're going to self-care. And then you're going to get back up, reassess, reevaluate, and you're going to do it again and again and again and again until you're finally at this perspective. Now, once you get to this perspective, now, boom, we can talk about manifestation. We can talk about self-power. Now we can open up the next level. But we can't get you there. We can't talk about the next level. I can't talk to you about norms and what's waiting for you on the other side until you do the work. So that's what triadic healing is. It is doing the work. It is showing you a different perspective, because a perspective is just your story. And it starts completely with identity, understanding your life titans, knowing exactly what all of these things are, the players that they are in, everything, and reviving them. It's understanding all the parts of your subconscious mind, how the subconscious mind works. I did not just wake up one day like this. It took severe understanding with thousands of perspective shifts and twice that many periods of normalization to get me to this point. Once I got to this point, then I was able to sit down, look at the situation, realize what it was I was looking at with my subconscious mind. And then I was able to go, oh, well, we don't even need our subconscious minds anymore. Did you know? They are antiquated fail safes that were put in place by our animal mind when we were animals. You know, I remember being told that instinct was left over. Good God damn it. The biggest lie we were told by the patriarchy. That intuition and instinct were from our animalistic days, that we should ignore them. No, the subconscious mind is the animalistic thing left over from when we were animals. It's the subconscious mind we need to shut down and throw away. Mostly shut down. We really don't need it after we figure out the perspective. It literally becomes obsolete once you know that it's all about just how to adjust your perspective in your story. So the subconscious mind has 2 purposes. It has the safety feature and the maintenance feature. The maintenance feature is what's kind of important. But once you get to this level, you don't even need that anymore. You can do it all on your own. If you can feel your subconscious mind working, then it's turned on, and it shouldn't be. The other part of the subconscious mind is fear. It's your fear system. And that only functions when your defense system is down. So it's absolutely a, how do I explain it? It's a balance and it's an alignment. But it all starts with understanding this massive balance between what your subconscious does with trauma, how abuse affects you and your subconscious mind, what you do as the self when you are balanced with your intuition and your identity, and what you can do with conscious awareness once you realize that you can change, once you realize that you have control. But you can't do any of this if you are stuck in one single perspective, your abuser's perspective. Now, there's 2 kinds of people who've been abused. There are the people who come back with a vengeance. That's me. They are the people who say, I hate what they have done to me. I know that they put their beliefs inside of my mind, and I am on a vendetta to go into my brain and find every little bit of garbage they put there, and I am taking it out. And that's what I did. That was my manifestation when I was a child. That is something I set my goal on. Excuse me. Sorry. That is what I set my goal on when I was a child. when I was 15, I promised myself that I was going to go into my brain and literally cut out every little piece that was not me. That is the vendetta-driven abused. The other kind of abused is the Stockholm Syndrome. These are the people who are so abused that they think the abuser is their best friend. These are the people who are convinced that the people who abuse them will be the first to help them. So they become loyal agents of the abuser. So not only is their subconscious mind rogue, abused, and out of control and working for the abuser, but the conscious awareness has turned itself over to complete slavery and servitude to the abuser, because at their core of their belief, they are determined that the abuser is on their side. That is a state of completely abandoning all of the self. And there is, from where I'm standing, I don't know if I can help those people. I don't know. There's the abuser, and I understand the abuser. I can get to the abuser a lot easier than I can actually get to someone with Stockholm Syndrome. But everybody else, now those are people that can take this and really run with it. Now, there is one crux, one real big problem that I keep running into with my job. We all have Stockholm Syndrome to some degree. And that Stockholm Syndrome is a complete dedication and loyalty to our parents. That's really, really what I'm up against. That is the first perspective that we're going to have to overcome. Because that perspective that your parents loved you, that they treated you well, that they were good parents because they were good people, that's bullshit. All of that is bullshit. I read a meme the other day that said, every parent loves their child. And then I saw all the comments underneath it going, absolutely, amen. And I went, oh my God. No, do not deitize your parents. Oh my God, I know. I saw the fifth level of the subconscious. And the number one abuser was your parent. No. I learned very, very clearly how horrible some parents really are. No, parents are not perfect. Parents are horrible people sometimes. And it's split down the middle. It's 50-50. No. So the first thing we're going to have to address is your Stockholm Syndrome and your absolute loyalty to your parents, because that is really the biggest crux in changing your perspective, because your perspective is absolutely a core built off of where you are and where you are going with that. It's everything. And the purpose of the individual, and this is what I love about the individual. When we are born, we are given two things at birth: our authority and our identity. Our authority immediately goes over to our parents or our caregivers. It has to. But our identity is supposed to stay with us. In a lot of cases, it doesn't. In so many cases, it does not. In so many cases, our identity is taken away from us and abused, and then we are punished for having our identity because we're supposed to be like mommy and daddy. And that's the real trauma. Mommy and daddy dreaming about their own mini me and treating us like their idealized dolls. As soon as they find out they're pregnant with you, the first thing they do is fantasize how it's going to be. But they're not taking into account that we are our own people. that we're not going to like sports, maybe, that we aren't going to like being a Republican like they are, that I'm going to want to run off and go to Woodstock and be a hippie, but they are going to want me to get married, settle down, and have a job because I have an identity. So as soon as they realize when I'm 2 and 4 and I start talking about I'm going to be when I grow up, I'm not talking about how I'm going to be a wife and a child and I'm going to be cradling little babies. Oh, that pissed my father off. What I did say is I wanted to be an actress. And that was his first dose of reality in his 20s when he realized that his adorable little girl was not going to be like him. So the first thing he did, the first thing all parents do, is disapprove. And when your living and lifestyle and everything depends on these people and their happiness of you, you make sure they're happy because your survival depends on it. That's parenting, but that's psychology. But they're mentally ill. And they just spent the last 5 years fantasizing about how great you're going to be as a perfect little mirror of them. But that's not how identity works. So it's a very rare parent, very few parents who appreciate and understand this and actually nurture a healthy identity into their children. It's even rarer to see a healthy parent not only nurture that identity, but then in a healthy fashion, siphon that authority back to the child in a timely, organized fashion in which the child builds up their confidence with their identity, is given the psychologically safe place to say and voice and communicate what they want and need and desire, while giving the authority back to that child so they can understand that they, the conscious awareness, can choose their fate, can direct where they want to go. I teach parenting classes. You should check out my parenting classes. When you have that balance, when you have that understanding, the subconscious mind shouldn't even wake up. But that's not what we're given. In most cases, we are given a mentally ill mother and a mentally ill father. In many cases, the mother and the father abuse each other. And you are put in the middle, being told to have no identity. Shut up, be quiet, don't communicate. And that authority that they took from you when you were born, that you had no choice but to surrender, they're going to keep it until you're 70. That is what really takes place. I'm approaching 30 minutes. I want to keep this 2-hour course to a 30-minute interval. So what I'm going to do, and I don't know if I'm going to do 1 hour or 2 hours yet. I'm going to go with whatever feels right. So I'm going to go ahead, wrap up this video. I see questions here. I'm going to go ahead and answer the questions and address them. I'm really interested to go through all those. But when I do all of this, there's going to be a Q&A afterward. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do is I'll do an hour of talking and then an hour of Q&A. And we are speaking specifically on identity for this course and then intuition. And then tomorrow we're going to get into the subconscious mind. And then after that, we're going to get into conscious awareness. Day 4 is going to be bringing it all together. And then day 5 is going to be implementing it into your day-to-day life and what you can expect, self-care and emotional management. It's all there. So thank you. And as I said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this down because I want to keep the videos about no longer than 30 minutes each. So thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.